Thinking of breaking into a new market or just trying to stay relevant in shifting real estate landscape? In today's episode, I sit down with Lauren House, a powerhouse broker who went from selling homes in Scottsdale, Arizona to rebuilding her brand from the ground up in Miami. We talk real estate hustle, branding beyond Instagram, cold calling, and what it really takes to thrive in today's market. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Krinzman Property Playbook, your inside look at South Florida real estate. I'm your host, Matthew Krinzman, bringing you real strategies, real insights, and real connections that help you buy, sell, and invest with confidence. With over 2 decades of experience as a licensed realtor and broker associate, I've watched South Florida grow from a quiet getaway to a global destination, and I'm here to help you navigate it like a pro. My business thrives on trusted relationships, with many of my clients being repeat and referrals. This podcast is brought to you by me, Matthew Krinzman, a One Sotheby's International Realty agent. For more info, visit buysellmiamire.com. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone out there. My name is Matthew Krinzman. I am the host of the Krinzman Property Playbook. Just a little bit of background on me. I am a broker associate with One Sotheby's International Realty here in Aventura, Florida, in the office here. And I have a little podcast. We talk about real estate. And today I have Lauren House, who is you're an agent, or you're also a broker associate? You're a broker. All right. And you're with Real Broker, LLC. I got a little bit of background on you, but I always like to let the guests tell us and tell me about who you are, what makes you tick, why you're a real estate broker. What insanity decided you mental break, I gotta go to real estate. And especially I was looking, you started in 2008, which could not have been a better time in real estate. Yeah.
Could not have been. That's just when I was blessed to graduate from college. There is nothing I could do about that. So I started in commercial real estate, selling industrial. I didn't actually sell anything. And I worked for a very well-known agent in Phoenix. And then I moved to LA. So I was in residential for 4 years there. And then I moved back to Phoenix and worked residential at Sotheby's for 10 years and then expanded to Miami. I still have my Arizona license. I still have my California license, but I don't practice in California. I just practice in Arizona.
Great. So you split time between Arizona and Florida? So one heat for the next heat.
And the secret is, it's so funny because no matter which place I'm in, I'm always like, the other place is so much better. I'm never happy where I am.
Yeah, it depends on perspective, right? It's once you're like, this is so much nicer. Then you go back, this was so much nicer. Yeah, it's perspective. I guess when you have the change of view and change of scenery, it's, Or you trade wet heat for dry heat. Your hair is not as frizzed up in Arizona, which I guess is a plus. Whereas in Miami, as soon as you wake up, it's not that I have much left because I've been in the business. I actually dye it gray so people think that I'm much more worldly, knowledgeable, and older than I am because I only started in the business in 1998. So actually, 97. So and it's crazy. I'm only 26 years old. So it's a rough business.
Yeah, this industry is. Yeah, I was going to say this industry has not done you well.
Especially on the gray side. No, that's just part of it. That's part of the madness that we all in. So you got out of college. You go into real estate. Hey, 2008. Why not? Why not start then? Yeah. Which is a great time actually really to start if you really think about it in real estate, because that's when a lot of people leave. Business is really rough. And if you can survive that type of situation, that type of cycle, you come out way ahead, you come out stronger, and you've built yourself a book of clientele that you saw, hey, look, I can operate and I can do business in this type of financial environment, real estate environment when things were really bad, and I can do right by the sellers and the buyers. So I think that's for you and for anyone else who's listening, like this cycle that we're in is really a good time to get in for an agent. I think it's really a great time to cut the teeth and really learn. So you're in Scottsdale, right? You come to Miami. What brought you to Miami?
A client asked me to get my real estate license.
Okay.
So, I had given him a few referrals. He did not like the way that the agents in Miami worked.
Okay. I've heard that.
Which I understand now that I'm here. That's so mean to say, but I get it.
No, you can say it. It's fine. I'm not, I get it.
I know. So I'm like, don't take my face off.
We'll blur it out later. We'll change your voice too. It's great. We have a lot of technology here.
Exactly. And so he asked me to get my real estate license, and I was looking for a change, and I said, yes, why not? So I proceeded with getting my real estate license. I got an apartment and started trying to figure it out. I really thought that it would be a parallel move, and I was coming in and I have all this experience, and it was really not like that. I consumed myself with staying in my Arizona business, but living in Miami, because I didn't really, not that I didn't know what to do, but it's like, that's the comfort zone, right? Yeah. And I had enough business. Sure. I have a referral business, so I have plenty of business to keep me going. And then at some point it was like, okay, girl, you got to wake up. You came here, let's do this. So I started doing all the networking, and yeah, I joined a super luxury group, and the broker is also an influencer. I was still at Sotheby's in Scottsdale and did not need to switch brokerages in Miami to match the Sotheby's. And it was just a different experience. I was used to Sotheby's at the time with all sorts of backup and open houses and people to talk to and rely on. And with the super luxury group, it was just him and me, and very different. So I got here, I didn't know anybody, and building a business from scratch again was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so especially if you're someone new to the community and new to the area, you're getting dropped in, hey, now sink or swim. And South Florida, Miami in general, I think it's a different, we do business a little differently. I would definitely say that from rest of the country, or in some cases, it could be an influences of what we have people from all over the world coming in here. Like I said, I've been to business since 1998. I've seen the changes from the old generation of agents come in, and now we have a newer generation of agents and how things get done. But professionalism is professionalism. It doesn't matter what era or the business or when you come into the business, that's how you do it. And what I thought was interesting, you said you started network. And I think that's something that a lot of agents don't do personally. I used to be very involved. I was very involved. I did BNI. So yeah, that was something. I did it for a long time. I was actually one of the people who helped found a chapter here, because the real estate seat's a very hard seat to get. And really one way was to get into a chapter that was forming. And that's what I did. And I did it for a bunch of years, and it was great. But I think what you mentioned is what a lot of people forget is networking. So I just want to get off topic, but what kind of networking were you doing? This is good information. People who are listening, agents who are listening, young agents, older agents, what networking did you find worked for you, or what were you doing?
Yes, I was going to really anything I could find. I just sat on the computer and searched business networking events, and I went to everything. And what I found, which was strange to me, was that everybody wanted your Instagram handle, and their facial reaction when you only have 6,000 followers.
That's a micro influencer, so that's not bad. Yeah.
It wasn't good enough for most of the people in Miami. So that was one stark change that I had to endure, was like, my reputation in Scottsdale is great. And I have a referral business because I know a lot of people there. They trust me. They know me. My name gets thrown around. And then I got here and it was like, wait, you're going to trust me and like me because of the amount of followers I have on Instagram? That was a hard transition for me. And I have since bought into it and have built my brand a lot more, but it has not given me any business. Like, I haven't had anybody reach out and say, hey, you have this amount of followers, I want to work with you. So I've just come to take it for what it is. It's just a part of my business that was really improved and enhanced. I've learned a lot, and I now have another kind of arm or branch of my business that was underdeveloped that's now kind of
That's interesting you say that. You talk about, because you hear about, oh, I got so much business from my Instagram account, and maybe that's true for some, but it was interesting when you said like you've gotten no business, but people know you, and they see, I guess, look, I think the people nowadays who you're doing business with, just you have some kind of social media presence, whatever it may be. And it's another tool in the toolbox, really. Like it's just something else we have. Personally, sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. Oh, you got to do content. You got to do content. You got to do this. And I'm tired.
It's a lot to keep up with because you put a lot of hours into I put a lot of hours into creating my schedule. And then once I have the idea, I have to go film it. And then once it's filmed, I have to go edit it. But in order to film it, I have to have all my hair and nails and makeup and everything has to be done and ready and lighting and time of day. And I need a videographer. Ugh, it's so much. So you just I'm appreciating that the hold your arm out and take a selfie video is like just fine these days, because to be so polished, it gets very expensive and it gets a little bit old. And so social media is just, it's supplemental and it's important. Unfortunately, if it's not your prime bread and butter for making money, it gets thrown to the back burner and maybe doesn't feel as important because it's not a money making product or
you like what am I spending so much time on this when I could be doing something else, or I could be involved in other parts of my business, rather than, I got to post a reel, I got to post a story, I got to go live, I got to do this, I got to do a dance. Hey, buy my house.
Literally a dance.
But look, there are some very good agents out there, agents who do some great content. You see it on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. My line in the sand is TikTok. You see some really good creative people out there. I'm like, wow, this is actually really good. Then you see some, this is so cringe. Oh man. We have so many more things coming in at us all day long, and the dopamine effect is ridiculous. This is something, actually, I don't know if I have coaching, so this is something I talk with my coach, and we talk about content, and we talk about the videographer, and we talk about doing videos in long form, short form. We talk about the podcast, we talk about posting, and it's a constant churn of postings, which you get. Again, it's just a part of the business that we do now. When I started, there was none of this. I was walking around with quarters in my pocket.
Oh yeah, there was.
Even in 2008, really, look, in 2008, that when you started, there really wasn't really much out there. Facebook was out there.
No, Facebook was new, and it might have just turned public, but it could have still been for college kids. Yeah. It wasn't a thing. And then when it was just photos, it was like personal photos. It wasn't really like business related photos. And then it turned into a carousel. And now because it's a video, it's just so different because you have to have this top notch editing and these cool transitions and a hook, right? Like in order to even capture anyone's attention. Otherwise you're like boring.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to you. It is just so wild. So I'm trying to pull it back to basics right now and take a little bit less of a social media approach and do more of the old school things. Maybe call somebody.
Wow, that's
like somebody.
That's nuts. Which again, this was actually something. Again, this is something, the conversation I had with my coach last week is like, what are you doing for business? And I said, like, call. I said, like, we're going through the day. Okay, what do you need to do? Who you need to call? And I'm like, or you need to text. I'm like, I don't like the text. I want to call. I want to talk to the person on the phone. I'm a little bit old school like that. I like when having a conversation with people. Like, these podcasts are great because you're having a conversation with a person, wherever that conversation may lead. You get into something interesting, and just calling up an old client and say, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Could lead into
so much more valuable than making a reel and having X amount of people see it. Who gives a flying?
You can say
like,
it.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
think we have I don't think I have a bleep button here.
Okay. Sometimes you just need to say the F word. But yeah, it's a handwritten notes or a little video or an article that reminds you of somebody. Like, it's just, that's how I grew up and grew
the personal touch. Yeah, the personal, like keeping in touch with people. Like, so you come to Miami, you start building up a little bit of a network. Where did you find your niche as far as the sales side, the buying and selling part of real estate? Where did you come up like, oh, okay, this is where I want to be in Miami as far as business?
I think everybody wants to be Coral Gables.
I'd like to. I'd love to sell Tom Brady a house in Indian Creek, but the reality is it's a very limited group of people who are doing that. But beyond that, there's a lot of good. I think there's a lot of room where good agents and excellent agents can really. Now, they don't have to sell $40 million properties. They can sell the 100. We don't want to sell the 100 because there's nothing left at 100,000. But you're saying you can sell under $1 million, you can sell over $1 million, and make a really great living at it. And do a great job for your clients, both on the buy side and the sell side. Do you have a niche? Do you have something that you like to work in and concentrate on in the business?
To be honest, my business actually that not fully taken off the way
that's
I would
honesty.
like
Wow,
so that's why I can't really answer that.
I like that honesty.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. That's why I'm cold calling.
Okay, we're going to get to that because I like where your head is at on that. But so, do you? in Miami, there's so much. We have it's a right now where the market will say the market is definitely softer than it was a year, 2 years ago, especially 2020, like May of 2020 up to maybe some point, maybe about 2 years ago or maybe a year and a half ago. It was a pretty good, strong, robust market. We have a lot of pre-construction and a lot of new development in South Florida and Miami. So have you been able to bring buyers to those properties as an opportunity to get in at a price today? Because you're hoping that when it's ready in 4 years, that the price has gone up just necessarily by inflation. But do you sell any of that to any buyers out there that you have, or how do you expose those properties to buyers?
Yeah, the new construction world is
Mm-hmm.
super exciting just because it's fresh. Each building, I'm
Yeah.
sure you've toured a lot of them. Each building's trying to outdo the other. So they're all becoming a little bit more innovative. And whether it's a park in the sky or like the Bentley building has the garage or the Porsche, whoever it is, they're trying to be bigger and better
Right.
than the next one. So when you think of it, that the fact that the Miami skyline is changing and we get to bring the buyers who are creating the world
Mm-hmm.
for each building, it's pretty special. And buyers can feel when you take them around the difference in each building, and possibly that's the luxury brand that's attached to it. Possibly it's could just be like the sales rep. It's, oh, I just don't really like this person, or, oh my gosh, I love this person. We definitely want to be here. So it's been interesting to see how people gravitate towards different places, or they think they want to be in Brickell and they end up being in downtown. Not a giant change, but they had their heart set on one part of the city and then they end up buying in a different.
Yeah, it's true. I've shown buyers, like I had a buyer who bought in Edgewater, and we went all the way up down to Brickell. We actually went to Coconut Grove, and but the whole time her head was really, and her heart was set on Edgewater, but she's like, all right, let's just see. She didn't really like Brickell because whatever reasons. Like, everyone has their likes and dislikes. The Grove was just more expensive than what she was looking for as far as a price point. I think Edgewater, if people are looking in for new development and existing development, Edgewater is really a great opportunity, personally, I think, because where the price points are and where the views, especially if you've got that view east toward Miami Beach and you got that bay.
That's where I live.
Yeah, look, that view is irreplaceable. And it's
never going to be obstructed.
Exactly.
That's the key.
So that's
in Brickell, you go.
No, I'm saying that's a really good value for a buyer when they're comparing the areas. So I think that's, as an agent, as a broker, that's really where the value as you bring to the situation and to the story with your buyers. So you're saying about Brickell,
there's so many buildings that it's so unit specific, because the view is determined by what unit and what floor. Edgewater is not as dense, therefore the unit has a higher chance of having a better view and more water view because it's not so dense. I don't know.
No, it's density. It is 100%. That's what it is. It's density. That's why Brickell is Brickell for it. And there's definitely a draw for it. Coconut Grove has that exclusivity now, especially on the buildings that they're building. And the Edgewater area, I think you have room to grow, and there's some really beautiful buildings that have been built in the last few years that are under construction that are coming up. But the views you can never beat. That's the plus.
Yeah.
When you take a buyer to a new construction, you look at anything that you're comparing with them. Let's say this property is better than this, or you look at who the builder or the developer are to say, hey, maybe you really want to consider this one because X, Y, Z.
Oh, yeah. I think every buyer needs to take into consideration the builder, probably the interior designer, not as much, but a little bit. The development are in the area. What's going up? What's going around? Are they going to have to live in construction if this building is done at a certain time? Also, if there's going to be more development, how does that bring value and increase their equity? 100%. There's a surplus of condo-hotel zoned buildings in Brickell and downtown, and Condo-Hotel is for anybody who wants to short-term rental. They allow daily rentals. I don't know if you've been in the lobby of one of those. It feels like a hotel, right? So it's very much a rental building. If you're young and you have $500,000 and you really want to try Miami, like that would be a super smart investment to get a studio that allows you to have daily rentals. You're young, you want to be in the hustle and bustle, and you get to have the best of both worlds, because when you leave, you still have a rental property.
Right.
That's huge. That's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and plus you also you can get some kind of rental income off of it too. Hold on one second. Hold on.
Right.
I got part of being in the office. Anyway, but you know, he was talking about the short term. Yeah, you can have a rental income or cover your expenses at least while you're not using the property. Which I like when you said that for someone who's younger, who wants to be in the middle of as you use the hustle and bustle. Really aging myself on that one.
Yeah. Is that an old person?
I think term? So. Yeah.
Urban living. I don't know what we should
use. The hustle and bustle part, I think that's a little bit older, but those are good opportunities. But I think where you have to dissect, you have to really, when you get into those, especially the short-term rental buildings, the condo hotels that are being built, and they're all coming up now. You have all of them: the Tivo, the Flow, the Elser, which has already been built. Then you have a bunch of others, and then even some of the higher-end luxury buildings are allowing 30-day rentals. It's really, you have to cut through it and say, who's doing what, what's the management style, what's the management fees. Those are things, I have a whole other topic on that, but those are things I think as an agent, you have to lead your buyer through, that maze. Are there any of the buildings that you like? Are any of the new construction properties that that maybe haven't come out of the ground or coming out of the ground now that you like, you know what, Lawrence, this one is, you tell your clients, this is the one you need to be in. Is there a particular favorite?
Yeah. The people that I have put in have all been the luxury developments. I like Villa. That's what
Villa Miami. Yeah. I have a listing in Moon Bay, just by the way.
Yeah,
so next door. Yeah.
Right next to it. Okay.
It's a great building. It's a great little building.
Good to know.
Because it has great views, by the way. But now it's going to be surrounded by Villa Miami, which is $2,000 plus a square foot. You're going to have, what's the next one? I forget. Not Capri. Is it Capri? The Cove. Sorry, the Cove, which is going to be next on the other side of it.
Oh, the Cove, right behind it. Yeah.
If anyone's looking at it for an opportunity, and wants to get in at a very inexpensive price, and you can deal with the construction, Moon Bay. And also Biscayne Beach right next door. That's also another one.
Yeah, Biscayne Beach is great. I know, that whole little area.
So you like Villa Miami?
So yeah.
They got a good track record.
I like Villa, of course, Mandarin, Oriental.
That one's crazy. They're doing really gangbusters on that one. I've heard the numbers that are coming out of there. I think they've already approached probably about $1 billion in pre-sales, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I think the special part about that building is that every single unit has a water view.
It's on the point. It's that little spot where the old Mandarin Hotel is, which is going to be taken down, which is actually should be starting to take down in the next few months or now. Yeah,
I think by the end of the year.
So I think they shut down the hotel already. But yes, where it is positioned on Key Biscayne, you'll have a view from everywhere and anywhere in that building. And again, irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Views are irreplaceable in Florida. My father always used to say, if you're not on the water, there's no point to be living here in Miami.
Agree. 100%. And the amount of units that face another building is wild to me. And the fact that people would allow themselves to live like that, and perhaps it's finances. I understand it costs more to have a water view. I get that. But to me, I'm not living in Miami without a water view. There's not a chance in hell.
But look, this is really the boom in construction, especially in the Brickell area and Edgewater, is really, you're probably talking about a 10-year span, maybe 15 years at most. Having been here my whole life, I can tell you exactly which building was built and at what time, and I can show you where Something About Mary was filmed in Edgewater, which is now the Paramount on the bay. Now you got a little bit of a history there. So next time when you're watching Something About Mary, that's where Paramount Bay is. And,
I'm gonna look.
But the change is tremendous, and the views when people were living there wasn't no one living in Brickell. People were living on the south side of Brickell, on Brickell Avenue, toward the Grove. So those buildings still have their views. But if you had bought in Brickell in 2004 or something like that, before it really had more buildings going, you had views. Now, hey, it's part of living in the big city in an urbanized district now. But I think people, if they're looking there, they think they understand that. I think they get that. Personally, I just like to. If you haven't been up to Pompano Beach yet to look at some of the new construction that's going on there, I would say Pompano Beach is definitely a spot that's worth a look, because also their price points and what they're building there. between the Ritz, the Waldorf, the Rosewood, which is Hillsborough, which is next door, and then you have a few others that are related have built, and there's still more going to come in. There's an Armani building going to be built, so there's a lot of high end coming into the Pompano Beach area, and the price points to be on the water in the beach is really it's affordable in comparison to Sunny Isles at that point if you're looking at it for someone who's looking at the beach.
Right.
So when you do a lot of, just so other agents who are watching this, when you're looking at pre-construction and new development, is there something you're drilling down in, like hey, this is what I really want to be known for as a asset and an advisor to my buyers when they're buying there? Is there something you're looking for, like price points, things like that's helping you close a deal?
Yeah, it really just depends on the buyer. I start with their lifestyle.
Okay, good. Yeah.
What do they want? Have they been here before? Where do they want to be? Do they care if it's a luxury name brand? Like you have the Delmore, that's not a chain,
No.
It's not anything, but they start at $15 million.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting project. It's in a great spot, but there's a lot of history tied to that piece of property right now. And I personally, I don't know, but maybe they figured it out. Because there's some big money behind the developers there. But sorry, the Del Mar is really something very unique and very special that's going to be built.
But it's not like the Porsche building. It's not Dolce & Gabbana, right? So it depends on what the buyer is looking for, if that's even important to them. Of course, if it's a second or third home, any of these condo buildings will do because everything's going to be maintained. The theory behind Villa and Mandarin Oriental, where they don't have studio 1 or 2 bedrooms, is to keep that exclusivity. And it doesn't allow, I don't know if I should say the riffraff, like you're not poor if you can afford a $1 million one bedroom, but correct. But they don't want that there. They want it to feel like your home. They want it to just kind of feel more exclusive, and it's 3 bedrooms minimum, which is a really interesting way to go about it and just bring a fresh idea. But anyway, so these are the questions I ask. What's important to you, right? And then if you still want a condo hotel with the flexibility to rent it out, like I've put some people at the one hotel and homes, because that's a quicker buy. You still have the luxury and it still allows the rentals. So that's my default go-to if I have to do resale. And
smart. You ask the right questions. That's part of the job, and really asking the right questions and finding their pain points and pleasure points. Really, there's asking the right questions. Really, that's how you get to them. That's how you know and getting to know your buyers.
Yeah, because at this price point, a $2,000 HOA, $2,000 square foot HOA, like they might want to know what it is for their own knowledge, but they're not going to say, oh, I'm not going to buy there because I can't afford that. If they're looking at a $5 million unit, they know what comes with that. And if most of these people are coming from New York, where it's buildings anyway, the association fee is not really going to scare them. If anything, they're excited that they are getting in early, that they have their choice of floor plan, view, buildings. Like there's other things that are excited. If you can afford it, then
yeah, those are people who are fortunate in that respect. Like, hey, whatever it is, fine. I just like it. It checks off all the boxes for me. Yeah,
literally. I just like it.
I've seen that. That's happened to me plenty of times where I like it. Okay, let's do the deal. I'm like, okay, that's easy. There's other things obviously in our market here that are other factors. So when we're dealing with people who are either trying to buy a home, first home, house, condos, there's other set of conditions and situation that we're dealing with: higher interest rates, insurance, maintenance fees. For those people who are concerned about maintenance fees, they're up. The condo market, especially in the older buildings, is, I would say, not rough. I want to say challenging. That's the word, challenging, because of what all the new rules that have come in since, was it 2022, and unfortunately, and actually 2021, but I don't remember. But the state has enacted a lot of new rules on condominiums that they have to abide by, and that, I think, actually is now creating an opportunity for a lot of people to buy, because what a conversation I have with my managing broker a lot is, where else can you buy a place like, say, Aventura, for example, with the beautiful views of the bay, of the golf course, or the ocean, for $400,000, a 2-bedroom, 1,600 square foot apartment like this? Nowhere. There's very few places. If you're looking in South Florida, that you can do that, or actually in the United States where you get those kind of views. So there are opportunities out there, even in the lower end of the market for people to do something. Like, look, there's an old adage, you make money on the buy, and this is the time right now, especially if you're looking at condos and you're willing to take your time and sit through the challenging part of it and get through the assessments. The road will be bumpy, but I think there'll be a good light at the end of the tunnel there for people. So we talked a little bit about your social media, leveraging it. You said you use it really as more as a tool for yourself, just to have like, hey, look, I have this, to put yourself out there so people know who you are and what you're representing as far as the properties. Brand. We all hear about brand. Build your brand. And look, when I started in the business, and it was no brand. It was like, oh yeah, you want to buy this place? You want to rent this place? Let's go. And then you build on the referral business from them, those people you're doing business with. But now it's all about the brand and the brand. How do you have a tip just for an agent like myself, who's a little bit older in the business, or someone who's brand new to the business, a good tip to build the brand?
I just did an entire hour-long branding workshop this morning.
This is a great thing.
It's all fresh in my head. Oh, yeah. You have to have clarity. So I think the clarity has to stem from what's important to you, but also to be authentic to yourself. And as cheesy as that sounds, because that's probably everybody's, hey, you got to be you. The reason I say that is because you can only fake being someone else for so long.
Very true.
Right? Eventually it's going to wear off. You might like it at first, but unless it becomes a habit and you actually harbor those characteristics, traits, the way that person talks, like you're never going to be them. So you just have to be you. And if whatever you don't like about yourself, you need to start working on that.
Good point.
Yeah. So, I want to be well-spoken. I like to present well. I like my hygiene a certain way. I get a manicure every week. My hair and nails are always everything's always done, because when I step out of my house, I am my brand and I need to look decent. Even if I'm going to the gym, I am still not embarrassed, maybe not proud, but not embarrassed of how I look. I'm not a slob. And then on top of it, it's who are you? Like, how do you introduce yourself? How do you shake a hand? How do you answer your phone? Because that one time you're like, this is Lauren. And they're like, oh, hey, sorry. It's Nancy. It's Pam gave the referral to me. And you're like, oh, shit. Of course, I sounded like an a-hole this one time, but usually I'm like, hi, how are you? This is Lauren, or however you answer your phone, and you're usually friendly. Yeah. We're human. But just thinking about those things, that when somebody meets you, you don't want to be you don't want to disappoint them, because who you are online looks so great, and then you meet them and you're like a total dud. So learning how to move back and forth between online and offline, I personally think your offline brand is more important, because you can trick anybody into thinking you're great online.
Oh, it's actually really good what you just said there. Yeah, look, yeah. No,
sorry, it's a lot. I have a lot of feelings about branding.
Like you said, you have a personal brand. Everyone has a personal brand, whatever it may be. And how you project, like you said, there's the online and there's the offline. When I look at my Instagram, I think my brand is people like, this guy either he's really into his dog. He's got pictures of birds, and he's got some real estate mixed in there. And then every so often he may post something about wrestling for some reason. But
all three of those are relatable topics. So
people love talking about birds. That. Really, it's amazing. No, they thought,
oh yeah, and dogs.
Everyone loves dogs.
I don't have a dog. I've considered many times getting a dog just to meet people at the park.
There is that social aspect to having a pet.
It's a lead generator, not going to lie.
100%. Or get a snake in South Florida. You get something weird.
An iguana.
You just can find one on the street anyway. You can pick up an iguana anywhere at this point. But I like what you said about the brand. It's really how you project yourself. That's really the brand is you. However you want to design it or use it for yourself or show people who you are is. There's so many classes and there's so many books and podcasts and videos you could watch and read about. But again, I think it's just however you project. You really want to do it yourself.
There's no right or wrong. A lot of it is, I just listen to my gut. Do I feel comfortable posting this? Why am I posting this? Am I proud of posting this? And eventually that moved me away from what I call hot girl photos of just like putting up something that's hot and sexy with a quote under it. That's not attracting the same type of clientele that I'm hoping
Right.
to work with. And if they do show me a proof of funds and we go look at houses and then they hit on me, I know that they actually just wanted to hit on me and wasted a whole bunch of my damn time. That's
No,
not
I
okay
like
with
that.
me anymore. In the beginning, I was hopeful and was like,
Trusting,
and
you're trusting.
at some point,
you're like, oh, this person's for real, or that, oh, they really want to work with me. But like you said, the gut.
which is every agent
Oh yeah,
deals with that. Is this person
100%,
real?
especially now.
No?
It's today in today's world. It's more. I think it's harder to discern it sometimes now because there's so many ways that someone can craft a persona for themselves through whatever they're using. It could be through AI or just what they're showing on their Instagram or their social medias or how you're talking to them, they drive up in a fancy car, but it's a rental. Yeah.
It's rented.
But I think it's in today's world it's tougher, but I'm just trying to think of when I started, was I more trusting? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't because I'm from here. I already knew the lay of the land, living here my whole life. That you know how how things operate. You know how people are. But if you ever have a chance to listen to one of my podcasts I did with a friend of mine, his name is Mark Hurwitz, and he's a private investigator. He has a private investigation company down here, and he works all over the country. He's got people all over, but we're talking about know your client, KYC type of deals, knowing who you're dealing with, due diligence, background checks, things like that. And there was this. If you ever have a chance to go listen to it, it's really good because I think it helps. It imparts like how important knowing who you're doing business with is really a critical factor. And he actually used the line, South Florida is a sunny place for shady people. It's partly true, unfortunately, but I think there's a lot of good people here that are really trying to work hard and do right by themselves or for their families and also for their clients and for other agents that they're working with. And this is something that's critical. That's a balance here that we have to do through. And maybe that's partly true. Maybe those balancing acts create throughout the country as well, because now you just have to really be on your toes more because I think of AI and also because of social media, what people try to produce on social media for themselves. But when you're working with buyers and they're out of state, we talked a little bit about Brickell and Edgewater, things like that. Is there anything else that you're trying to help them choose a neighborhood or a particular area?
I always ask where their office is and how often they choose or want to go to the airport.
Okay, that's a good question. That's a really good question.
That's always a question I ask.
What about private jets?
Yeah.
That's another telling you what you're. But that's legit. Like that is something I've come across now. Now I actually had someone ask me, hey, where can I buy a hangar for my private jet? Oh, that's the first time for me. So that's actually now because but I think that it's an indication of the wealth factor that's moved into South Florida in the last few years.
Yeah.
So the airport question is a really good question, but now I think you're going to take into the executive airport question.
Yeah, I haven't had that one yet. I feel like that's something that they already know by the time they've gotten to me. So they'll just tell me in passing that where they're hanging their plane or where they're putting their yacht.
Good questions. Hey, my yacht's at South Point, or it's at the south of Fifth and Alton Road Marina there, the Miami Beach Marina. So you want to be in Marana Grande, or you want to be in you want to be in the Continuum or something like that. So those are all good questions. I think those come in, but sometimes I think they come up naturally in the conversation that you have with people and how you get it out of them. When you're working with both the sellers and the buyers, are you setting any kind of expectations that when they're working with you, and the expectations that you want with them as well?
I set all sorts of expectations,
okay.
Mainly around communication, about time. Again, like to me, that's a reflection of me and my brand. And it's important to me to be early, even though I went to the wrong Zoom link today. I really try to be 30 to 15 minutes early if possible, because not only do I arrive and I'm not a disheveled mess, I knew where to park, I got in, I did what I needed to do, and now I have an extra 10 or 15 minutes to catch up on emails or post a story, or I can use that time wisely. And I think most people, at least in Miami, again, no offense to Miami, but they run late. And as somebody who comes from a place where most people don't really run late, it's just wild to me that people are willing to leave somebody sitting there for 30 or 45 minutes or let a meeting start for 30 or 45 minutes. just like bad business to me, but it happens all the time. Lately, I have had an uptick of very quality agents that I've been working with,
Good.
and they're all on time and they answer their phone and they'll work on the weekends. So it's been really refreshing. And a part of me feels like it's you get what you look for, right? Whatever you focus on grows. And I finally told myself, I was like, I just want to work with good agents. And so now the universe is kind of
right.
putting them in my way. And it's been so much. It's like just a breath of fresh air. Okay, we're good. We got this done.
Do you have any deal breakers with the clients that you work with, the buyers and the sellers? Is it something that's, you know what, that's a non-negotiable for me? I'm sorry, we can't work together. Wish you luck in your endeavor. Good luck in your endeavors or something. Do you have that?
Mainly for a seller, if they want to overprice the listing, that's a hard no for me. I just tell them, come back when you've already been through one or two agents. I'm happy to pick it up.
That's a hot
after.
topic, right?
You have a reality check
that's
at that
point. That's a very
point.
big topic right now in the business, because the way the market has shifted, we all talk, it's the biggest conversation. Price right, price right, price. Do I take the listing if I know it's $200,000 more than it should be? That's an agent to decide, but it's setting the expectations for the seller right now, showing them what's going on. And most of the time sellers know, but they just haven't come to the reality yet. But I like what you said there. Come back to me after you've been on the market and it wasn't successful, unfortunately. You didn't sell, but now we can have that conversation. But I like that what you said about pricing right. That's important. And it's a shift. It's a mind shift right now. You have to shift their mindset of what the value of their homes are.
I will share with you my theory, because you and I have been in the business long enough. We both know the old school way of negotiating. A seller sets a list price. The buyer comes in low. We do a dance. We meet somewhere in the middle. It's always below ask.
Most of the time.
As of recently, no, this is like before.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's how it was. So post-COVID, I'm still seeing a lot of offers on one property if it's priced right. So my theory is that all the agents who got into real estate in 2020 and 2021 have no idea how to negotiate the old school way. Therefore, they're putting their very skewed way of negotiating onto their clients and tell their clients, oh no, that's overpriced. We can't submit an offer that's lower. And because you have so many people doing, that's why the seller has to price right, because buyers agents are telling them that you're not allowed to submit a low offer. And I worked with somebody like this, and he goes, oh yeah, we're not submitting an offer. It's overpriced. I'm like, that's exactly what you need to do. Go in low, go for the kill, go get it. And he's like, no, that's not how you do it. And I'm like, oh my God, you're a COVID agent.
When agents call me up on my listings and say, what's the lowest? They already started with me. Like, what's the lowest your seller will take?
Wow.
And my answer to them is always, look, I don't know until you submit an offer. So submit the offer and we'll go from there. And sometimes it's just too low. Maybe they're taking a shot and God bless them. I have no problem with that. I get it. Or they're just fishing on a fishing expedition. But it's a little frustrating when they're always trying to negotiate. Like, they want the price now. And I'm like, as an agent, I'm not going to tell you what my seller's the bottom line is until you, because sometimes I may not know it, but at the same time, I'm here to negotiate a deal that ends up being fair for everyone. So submit it. I always tell people, submit the offer. You got nothing to lose. Send me the offer.
And then encourage your client to counteroffer.
Oh yeah.
You can counteroffer at full price. And I don't think people realize that you can do that. If it's low and the seller's offended, put the listing price on there.
I've done that before.
Who cares? Yeah. I know, but people don't realize these things. I don't know. People just don't teach agents things. You have to go through it and learn and get creative, even though that's not creative. But it's just a different landscape. I think where that
comes into the how to negotiate. I think look, as we know, most brokerages are just hiring agents off the street. There's some brokerages that don't, because they're setting a bar. Hey, look, and it could be the brands. Look, I work for a brand. Real brokerage is a brand. It's a different concept than what Sotheby's is, but still at the same time, you're running a business. And I think some of the more established are looking for agents who are established, who know what to do more or less. But then there's people, they don't take the time to train. But I would tell any new agent, I think it goes back to what we were talking before. What advice would you give to someone? I say, look, you have the board of realtors. They have classes. Go to the classes. They'll help you, or get a coach, get something, learn, listen to a podcast about negotiations, or read what's it, Chris Voss, Don't Split the Difference, things like that.
Yeah,
Never split those.
Yeah,
the information is out there, so I guess it's really up to someone wants
helpful
to get it and wants to learn. But I think a lot of times is that unfortunately we get a lot of agents who just don't know and they haven't been taught. That's not their fault necessarily, but at the same time, we have individual responsibility for our own selves and our business. If you really want to be successful, find the ways, find the tools. They're out there. It's all out there. Don't depend on everyone to do something for you. And if anyone's listening to this or watching, if especially in the newer to business, information's there. The training's out there. Go find it, or get with a broker or a brokerage who has a mentorship, which are rare now, or get on a good team where you have a really good team leader who's willing to teach the business. Look, I'm a solo agent. I'm going to stay a solo agent to the day I die. But I think there's benefits to the people starting out. Hey, go on a team, learn. I think the professionalism could be learned. It's just a matter of how brokerages start prioritizing that. I think maybe this is the right time to start doing those things because of the way the business is. Especially if anyone's coming into the business, they're serious about learning. And they're serious about making a career and making it for themselves, because this is a very tough market. But like I said, you started in 2008. I started in 1998, which is an entirely different market. But I've been through a couple cycles now, and anyone who can get through these cycles I think will be successful in the future.
The downfall right now is that people look at social media. They think that's what it is. They think it's easy. And it is not. I had an assistant quit because she was like, I thought I was just going to be looking at pretty houses all day. I'm like, that is 1/100th of the job. I said, who are you going to show those houses to? She's, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so how many of those houses that you have as on the list side are good enough for Instagram? And she's, I don't know. I'm like, oh my God, if you don't understand how little, like what on Instagram is so 1%,
it's like
is so 1%. And people don't get it. So then they get a license and they're like, okay, now what? Why don't I have any business? No one's at my open house. I haven't made any money. Dude, you have no idea what it takes. And I really do think that the entry level should be a lot higher than $400.
I agree. That's a
dude. If it was $10,000, people would not be getting licenses daily. Sorry, but they would.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. This is obviously a conversation we can have another time. But it's just to get back, it's definitely something that people have talked about, and those of us who have been in the business for a while. And nothing against the new people. If you really want to treat it as a business and you want to make a career, do it. Go all in. But don't, like you said, social media is one thing. It's not the reality of what the business is. And you really have to work hard at it. And look, this gray hair is just doesn't come that.
Right.
Yeah, it's not just age.
Right.
It's
a product of.
It's a business. It's running a business, learning, dealing with people.
Like you don't see all the tears and how many times you get yelled at and how many times you get fired. Nobody showcases that shit on social media. But I tell you,
you talk about firing. And nothing. People don't take this the wrong way. When you get to fire a client, it's actually a really special day for us, and it has to happen sometimes. Unfortunately, a lot of people is just for our own mental to be sane. Sometimes we have to say to the client, "Look, I can't work with you. I'm sorry," and that's something that does come up. But that's another topic. I just want to wrap it up. You were talking about cold calling, and just briefly tell the kids out there what cold calling is, because I don't think a lot of people know how to do that anymore.
Cold calling is when you get a list of names and numbers, and I have a dialer.
Good for you.
And it goes through and they say hello, and you start in with your script that is totally not natural, but you have to make it sound extremely natural. And when you're used to being face-to-face, kind of old school with somebody like I am, it's a completely new skill that I have had to learn to hone and to practice. And I definitely don't practice as much as I should, but I'm going on appointments and getting listings out of it. And it becomes almost addicting. And the days that I don't have time to do it because I have a full schedule already, it's a little bit of a bummer, but I try to replace it with other types of cold calls meaning like agent referral cold calls, or I have to be calling clients. Like I have set rules for myself every day for what my calls are, because if you don't do anything and you just dance on TikTok all day, you're not going to be getting any business. And these are the bricks that lay the foundation that are going to make you extremely happy in 6 months that you were diligent and responsible and did your cold calls. I've really only been chewed out once.
It's okay. Once and twice is not bad. Look,
He just had the thickest hick accent that I started cracking up. And then he was mad at me. Why the fuck are you laughing at me? And I was like, oh my God. I was laughing so hard.
But you get people who don't want to talk or they don't want to be bothered. But that's okay.
Yeah. You're interrupting them. But plenty of people
I'm envious of people who can cold call. That's not a talent or an inner ability that I've really never took time to develop, because like you, I was more on the personal side, face to face, and building my business that way. But it's a talent, I think, and if you work at it, it can be really great, successful for a lot of agents. And again, don't be afraid. Take a shot. What do you got to lose by cold reaching out and touch? The old AT&T commercial, reach out and touch someone. So I'm really aging myself today. But so just so we can wrap it up, I saw something, you have a personal quote book that you reference all the time for yourself?
Yeah, I love quotes. I have quotes all over my house, around
Live,
my
love,
mirrors.
laugh, live, or something
I have
like
them up on my whiteboard here. No, this one says, let it go, don't force it. So like on the days when something's just not working, I'm like, I just need to stop, right? I have all sorts of comparison is the thief of joy, just like all sorts of random stuff around my house. And so I decided to just make a quote book. I included some from myself, from my dad, I just went through and found a whole bunch of quotes. And it's kind of what I do is I close my eyes, I open the book, I point to one side, left or right, and then I see what that is. And it always is something that I could use that day. And at the bottom, I put, how can this reframe your thought process on whatever the situation is? And it just gives me 3 minutes of clarity. Okay, how can I look at this differently to have a better outcome, have a better attitude? And it just kind of allows me to breathe again.
Very nice. So. All right. Just a quick wrap up. Give us some closing thoughts. Give us a quote. Give us an inspirational quote if you have one handy.
My favorite quote that I made up is, the party's always there. And it's just the parties. I used to be a giant party girl. And it was like, in order to step out of that world and become a disciplined businesswoman, I really needed to understand that it's Groundhog's Day in a bar and it's always going to be there. And I'm not missing out on anything. But at the same time, I still like that part of me because I like to go have fun. But you can meet really great people at a bar, and you can sell a lot of houses from having a drink and meeting someone, and who knows where the day goes. So it's like the reminder that the party's always there to go join it, but it's also going to be there when you leave and there when you want to come back. So it's a fun quote that I have.
Awesome. I like that.
Helps me get through it sometimes.
Yeah.
And the other one,
what's your next one?
The other one is, nobody's going to die. I think every agent uses that quote. No, you don't use that?
I don't know. I may have to use it. Maybe I don't. Maybe not. I don't know. I have to think. My mind is always.
When a client is like nagging at you and you're just thinking, nobody's going to die. Just chill. Yeah.
My mind's like, you got nothing to lose. Take the shot. As far as the business, and I always come from a side way is like, it's all going to work out. You're going to deal. It'll all work out in the end. Everything will get done. No stress. That's really.
Yeah, that's a great way to be.
Yeah. Lauren, how do people find you? Tell us some of you got a website. I know you have Instagram. What else you got?
Yeah. All of my handles are Lauren M. House. My email is lauren@laurenmhouse.com. And website is laurenmhouse.com. So
you have the website, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Do you have a podcast too? Are you doing the podcasting too as well? Or is that...
I had a podcast. We stopped it. It was called The Hot Girl School. It was to teach girls about confidence. What was it called? And then I decided The Hot Girl School. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it was fun. And so usually what I do is my YouTube channel has plenty of interviews with other people, but I don't have a formal podcast. But I like to have people on and pick their brain and give them exposure for having me on.
I appreciate that. All right, Lauren, I'm happy you were able to get on with me today, and we were able to have a conversation about real estate, about life, and all those good things that come with living in Miami and South Florida, and the ups and the downs of the business, the pre-construction, the new balance, Instagram, social, what's real, what's not in the business, and how to really, I think, help move along and persevere in the business, and also build a business for yourself, which is coming from Scottsdale to Miami, no easy task. To be plopped down in the middle of Miami and say, here, go to work and good for you, and kudos for that, taking on that. It's not an easy task, but if you make it successful, if you can be successful in Miami, it used to be New York. You can be successful in Miami, you can be successful anywhere, I think, at this point.
All right. It's good to challenge yourself.
This is a challenging place. My pleasure. Yeah, I enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully we can do it again down the road, or meet. Maybe you have a listing I can show, or you have a listing. I have a listing you want to have a client for. You never know. All right, we'll talk later. This has been the Krinzman Property Playbook, and I'm Matthew Krinzman. Everyone have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are right now. Thank you again, Lauren, for coming on.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of the Krinzman Property Playbook. I hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel inspired to take your next steps in the real estate game. If you're ready to make a move or need expert guidance, let's connect. Whether you're buying, selling, or looking to invest, I'm here to help you navigate the South Florida market with confidence. You can reach out to me directly through my website or on social media. Let's get the conversation started and make your real estate goals a reality. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on the Krinzman Property Playbook.